I'm not sure where the... I guess it's in the front where it picks up.
Where the mic is?
Yeah. I can only assume as much. But yeah, it's great. It has rechargeable batteries in there. It has, I think the battery life on it is some crazy amount of time.
It's like you're describing, it's like you're one of my friends describing way back when why they bought the Zune instead of the iPod.
Yeah, it's great, man.
So much battery life, you can fit so many more songs.
Yeah, it's great. And then, yeah.
And, Microsoft supports their products forever.
Yeah, it's a different business strategy. We'll call it that.
Okay. All right. Well. Where did let's see. Where did you leave off? You had gathered some assistants. You'd collected some people. You had some plans to get some things done. Was it? Did you tell your companions that you'd meet them the next morning or that evening? I remember you said that you wanted to meet them at some future time.
Yeah, some part of me has forgotten. I know that I wanted to let them have another night's kind of rest. I think the whole situation was sleep for the night. We'll convene in the morning and take it from there.
So what I remember last was Rakshan, the priest, doing his little prayers in the morning, which you sort of snuck in and overheard a little bit, getting his spells all ready. And then I think you went and got Ebrek, so that would have been still mid-morning. So I'd say you guys have a full day ahead of you. You could, this ritual has to be cast at midnight, so you could do that. So you could spend a whole day preparing, or if you wanted to sleep, you could spend, 2 days preparing.
Okay. First, I would like to, if I could. I don't have a whole lot of money with me. If any, really. I'd like to get a basic wooden shield.
Basic wooden shield.
Yes.
A flammable object to take with you to the elemental plane of fire.
Yeah, I'm not really... My character has not thought of that. I'm just thinking, a wood shield's probably going to be a little bit more cost effective. I don't really carry a whole lot with me. I just want to go to an armorer and see what they got.
All right. Now, is there any penalty for barbarians carrying a shield?
They can use a shield with it. I did read that.
Good. Then I'm going to trust you and not take away your unarmed defense bonus.
I'm pretty sure it's in there. Let's just to be kosher, because we don't want the podcast listeners to put nasty things in the.
There will never be any podcast listeners.
You say that, but anyway. All right, barbarian and the creating a barbarian. Equipment rage, unarmored defense. You can use a shield and still gain this benefit. Last sentence.
What's the opposite off about?
Well,
You smack his face into the wall.
I don't want him to go to the bathroom in our room.
It's a good goal. If we ever do decide to legit record things,
I'll cut that.
Oh, you should probably let me know ahead of time if you guys.
No.
Ever.
If we ever do, I do have a multi-angle snowball mic. It's cheap, but it's one of the better cheap computer mics.
I was surprised how well this did. I did a basic test with it, and
You played a scale.
yeah, I did do a deer a feet.
Were you in choir?
You saying your solfege, your solfege.
No, that was.
Scales.
So, were you in choir?
I was in musical theater, which is not the same thing.
I was in choir. Cassie was in choir. I was in
choir with our two neighbors.
Oh.
I was in. I took solo performance.
I did not. The teacher actually hated me because most of the time I would just either talk to someone or I'd sing.
I only know that as a porn category. That's a strange class.
There's a lot of there's a lot of porn categories that overlap a lot with college classes.
Yeah, well, it speaks to a broader significance of porn. Anyway.
If we're going to get into the history of the concept of a porn category,
right.
First you have to learn where that term came from in 1847.
Yeah. Because really, isn't porn just a distillation of life? Like all great literature and movies and... Anyway.
Isn't all fiction a form of porn?
Yeah. That's what I think. And
okay.
The Rule 34 thing, how everything is... Yeah, it all melds back into each other, so that's fine.
Alright, so you're going to go to the armorer, whose name I am not going to spend a lot of time on, because I don't foresee him being a recurring character.
Well, yeah. Silly you. Alright, so I walk up and...
So, there's a few armories around. You just go to the closest one.
Yeah.
It's one of the above-ground buildings.
It's like Starbucks, there's just one every...
If we're going to be recording, should we re-describe where you are?
You might want to, because we've missed the first couple of episodes, so...
Alright, so we are following the travels of Morthos, a blue tiefling with hooves and long pointed satyr-style horns, who grew up amongst 7 dwarves, no relation.
Exactly 7.
Exactly 7. He's very dexterous, not very strong. Despite this, he's a barbarian. He's after a ring of X-ray vision that was hidden by his father. It's also being chased by a number of devils who he has to beat to the punch. He received some assistance in the dwarven city of the Mountain Home from a devil named Essek, who claims to be the famous guard who always tells the truth, the counterpart to the guard who always lies.
And I ain't believing that for a second.
He gave Morthos a bag of a powder and instructions to perform a ritual to bring him to the elemental plane of fire, which is the next leg of his journey to find this ring of X-ray vision. Along the way, you've collected Rakshan, a farmer whose ox you saved, which he then sold. He is a very low-level cleric of Chantier, the harvest goddess. And you also met Ebrick, convinced him to join you. He is a sorcerer who was enrolled in a wizard college and was not much for book learning. You believe that these 2 dwarves will help you on your quest. The Mountain Home is an interesting place. It's kind of the center of civilization for this area of the dwarven country. It is a cavern carved out of the side of a mountain. There's roads running in the cardinal directions with a fountain in the middle of it. Towards the center of the square, the largest part of the city, all the buildings are underground, under the floor level of the cavern, so that there are only openings with ramps downward, making it look like it's one large, expansive cavern floor. Although there are cheaper above-ground buildings around the edges, dwarves prefer the underground, and that is where the more expensive and higher cost, higher quality of lifestyle buildings are for them. And I think that about sums us up.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm sure I forgot some important things, but...
Look, it's always good to do a recap, because although it's still fresh in my mind, it's good to kind of recap what is my goal? What am I doing?
Yeah. So you left your friend Rakshan. You left him this morning at the inn you and he are staying at, the Garnet Cavern, and you are now on your way to try to acquire a shield.
Yeah, and I'd be
essentially no money.
Well, I think we said that I had 5 gold.
Yes, you said 5 gold, and you spent less than 1 gold.
Right.
A matter of coppers and silver. So you have probably around 4.5 gold.
4 and change. Okay, I got you. So I'm gonna let Rakshan and Pyro Boy kind of just do their thing, and I've most certainly briefed them on the whole midnight thing, and we're probably gonna rendezvous at around 10, I would imagine, to make sure we got our ducks in a row and that we're ready to go. But so I'm gonna let them kind of do what they want for the day, but I'm gonna go shopping. So I'm gonna head to this closest armory shop here and see what I can find.
All right. Well, you go into the armory. You're a small town tiefling. You'd be used to a blacksmith where maybe there's an anvil and a forge right in a small room off the front room. This is a little bit bigger of a shop. There doesn't seem to be actually any craft stations here. It's more of a maybe a showroom for some actual more industrial assembly line style smithy somewhere else in the cavern or even in another city. There's a dwarf who greets you, standing amongst many shiny but shorter than you suits of armor. His hair is shorter than most, pulled back in a tight ponytail. He has a tight beard as well, very straight, dark colored. He says, "Welcome. I see a custom suit of armor customer when I walk in my front door today."
Oh, kind dwarf. It's not so elaborate, unfortunately. I'm actually in for a rather everyday object, a one-size-fits-all type of piece. A shield is what I'm after.
Do you have a specific house crest in mind?
Oh, dear. Would I know... The exactly 7 dwarves that I've lived with, do they have any type of lineage that I'm aware of?
It's,
Or are they like a ragtag group of, like, vagabonds and...
They're a group of simple farmers. The idea of emblazing yourself with the logo of some noble house is foreign to you.
Okay, and they typically grew, like, grains, a lot of grains, like barley and stuff?
A lot of grains, and some more... They had a small... If you remember, we mentioned this for our listeners at home in the first session, that they did have a small grove of more exotic fruits and items that are harder to get in when you are a dwarf who lives exclusively underground.
But primarily we were known for...
Primarily grains and barley. A little livestock. I believe we mentioned pork.
Okay. I'll ask just for... I could fine dwarf. I could do a house crest. Am I rattling off a house crest that is known to the people of this area, or can I just give them a design? Is this like I come in to Office Depot and I drop off my design for my business cards and like they do it?
Well, if you're looking for a steel shield with something embossed or inlaid, that will take about a week.
I spit out my drink that I was sipping on for hydration.
But I do have a small wood burning press in the back, and I can do a emblazoned design on a wooden shield in about half an hour.
Oh, that second option is definitely worth pursuing. If I could just get like a good kind of like picturesque thing of barley on a shield, that'd be great.
So he doesn't exactly know what the difference between a barley and wheat or any other grain would be.
I draw out like a cartoonish, nice, like modern design, like you'd see like launching an application on your phone type thing. Like just a nice black and white.
A real Web 2.0 type of image.
Yeah, just like that's slick, man. I still know what it is, but it's like modern, man.
Well, you seem like a traveler.
Yep. Oh, you picked that much up? Yeah.
I may have smelled that much.
I kind of sniff my armpits. I haven't bathed in a while, so am I smelling ripe or?
You're a tiefling. Your body odor is sulfur.
So it smells horrible. Okay, gotcha. I need. Well, if that's just my body odor, I'm not gonna apologize for that. I'm part of that body pause movement, so I'm not gonna do anything.
He says, "Okay, well, I can hear from the faint jingle as you walk through here that you're not carrying a lot of money."
Hey.
He's not impressed by your smell, and he's not. He doesn't feel like you're the type of person who would appreciate or even necessitate flowery language.
Give me a sec to go over my notes here. Well, look, Dirk sent me, and he said you could hook me up. And he said if I had the money and I was willing to spend it, that you'd be the guy to splash it out on. And you said 30 minutes. I've given you the design. I got the money. Like, are you going to turn me away?
For anyone listening at home, Dirk is the proprietor of a small pub and restaurant that Morthos is familiar with and is somewhat friends with.
Yeah, the pork sandwich was good. Although it was wrong, I ordered it and it came in something.
Although that seemed to be the fault of his cook.
Yeah, well, look, I'm in a new place. I don't know if someone's trying to poison me or something. I don't really trust anyone, except for these two dwarfs that I've just taken up.
These little tag-alongs.
Yeah, but they're
collected.
Yeah, they're small fries. They don't. I'm level 2, so they have to obey a level. Level 1s have to obey a level 2. That's how the hierarchy works.
They are well aware of this hierarchy.
My power, yeah. They're aware.
All right. Well, he says, it's a little less than I'm used to taking, but...
Jeez, man, shit. Like, I look around, are there any customers in this place right now? Like, in the morning, I'm looking around?
Not at like 9 a.m. on a weekday.
Right, so I'm like, dude.
All right. When it saves your life, tell people that you've got it at Diza's Armory.
I can do that. A little advertisement. Nothing wrong with that. Especially if it saves my life, but I suppose there's no alternate thing where if it fails on me, any type of guarantee or...
So he grabs a pretty plain-looking shield and walks to the back, gets his machine started. You could leave, stay here. It's half an hour. I don't know how much you're going to try to pack into this day.
Well...
But you're essentially out of coin.
Oh, so he's drained me. I got nothing. Great. Awesome.
You had 4 and change gold.
Okay, and that's kind of bought it up, huh? All right. Well, I will. I'm gonna skip my morning coffee and go ahead. I'm just gonna like peruse around the stores while the half hour rings by. I'm not gonna stay in the shop.
All right. Okay, so you come back. He has this shield. You can see that he's lengthened the straps on it a little bit because you're a little taller. They need to be a little bit wider than you would on dwarf.
See? I knew I should have come to you.
Yeah. He turns it around. There's a logo on the front, looking as identical as you could imagine to the design you've drawn from what have to be wide wood-burned pieces of metal that have impressed upon it. So it's a little bit thicker in places than maybe your stylized image. Curves are a little less smooth, but it's still clearly what you...
It gets the message
It's still clearly...
I'm a farm people.
Yeah, it's a little bit blockier, a little bit heftier, but it's there.
All right. Well, I I guess I hand him everything in my coin purse, and I just kind of empty it out, and I'm like kind of doing that motion where I'm dipping out the last of it, and
little moth, little sprig of barley fall out.
Yeah, a little sprig of barley. I pick it back up and put it in my backpack, and don't want to forget that. Yeah. And I thank him for his work, and I look it over, and I kind of give it the glance in front of him, and it's good. It's good craftsmanship.
Yeah. If I remember, you did have some trail provisions left at your rickshaw, the rickshaw that you have stabled in the public stables by the doors.
Yeah, I might as well pick some of that up. I have a backpack now, so I don't have to put anything in the rickshaw. So I'll head back, and if there's any stable hands or guards at the way there, I'll just kind of shoot the shit with them and see how things have been and if they've seen anything crazy as of late in the past 24 hours.
Let's see. So you want to? So there's a guard there. There's not any stable hands there at the moment. Nobody, especially fancy, seems to have been coming in and out of the town so far this morning. You do meet a guard. You ask him if he's seen anything crazy. He mentions that there's been a couple of reports of creatures in the forest that are a little bit lizard-like, a little bit scaly, a little bit spiky, with stark bright red eyes. Few travelers have talked about how they've lost livestock or horses to them as they've made it into the town in the last few days. Something that's not normal around there. The town guard is thinking about increasing patrols around the town entrance, but they haven't made a decision yet.
So I ask him, have you seen these things, or have you done any patrols, or are you just going based off of witness accounts here?
I haven't seen anything. I haven't been out of the city in weeks.
Oh man,
but
gotta get out more. Do you want to go on a? Want to go on a trip? What are you doing later?
What are you doing about midnight?
What are you doing when you get off, man? I got a party I'm going to.
He is not interested in traveling with this strange stinky blue man.
All right.
Who travels by rickshaw. He pulls himself.
All right. Well, shit. Whatever, man. Whatever.
Are you just going to recruit every citizen in this entire city?
Going to a fucking another plane at level 2. All the help I can get. All right, so I get my stuff. I get enough stuff out of the backpack, and I pack it fairly full, not to the brim. I want to leave enough room for anything I might pick up.
So regular adventuring stuff, field rations, bedroll, rope, sort of thing.
I don't. I just have blankets. I don't have a bedroll. I'm used to sleeping on the ground. It's not a big deal.
I don't know what the difference between blankets on the ground and a bedroll is, but
a blanket's just keep me warm.
Huh?
Yeah.
Keep you warm.
Yeah.
Infernal creature that you are.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like a tradition from the dwarves. Like, I know I don't need it, but they always use blankets. So.
All right. Anything else you feel like you can get done in the next rest of the day without any money, or do we want to just see what happens when we encounter your?
I would go back to the library, but I'm hesitant. I don't want to go back to the library until I have like a good reason to go back to the library.
Are you're thinking there's any information there that you desire or just hope to find anything?
Yeah, no. I'll go back to the Garden Cavern and kind of just hang out until
practice your lute a little bit.
Yeah, practice my lute a little bit, and if there's a entertainer there, I'll kind of swap chords with them there.
Well, there's no entertainer there right now. It's not really the kind of day for that. Practicing a little bit. People who are coming in and out, not very many of them can stop and notice, or at least slow down. But you don't gather a crowd.
I don't get anyone throwing a copper in. Throw my Indiana Jones hat out. And...
Do you have an Indiana Jones hat?
I said I did.
I forgot that you said that.
I have a whip.
How does it fit between your horns? Just
It has like pokey throughs. Like, yeah, legit. I guess all the money would fall out though. I gotta pick it up and it just falls out. Oh shit.
So for various reasons, it seems that you don't acquire any money.
for various reasons. I know what that means. Like
it sounds like for at least 2 reasons.
All right. Well, shit.
Okay. Well.
All right. So I guess I will wait out the time and kind of meditate and take a nap if I feel tired, and I don't want to go into this exhausted by any means. So.
Okay. So you told them to meet around 10. You've had a chance to rest. A couple hours before that, Rokshan shows back up again. He's got he's wearing a robe over his clothing now. It looks like he's taken his man of the cloth duties a little more seriously. He seems to have been by the temple. He's also... Previously, you saw that he had a holy symbol with that was a golden rose on a chain around his neck. That you understand to be the symbol of his deity Shantae. You also see as he comes back that in addition to his studded cudgel that he is using as a weapon now, he has a shield strapped to his back as well. This one is a metal shield, and it has the same rose on it. And of course, the shield is +2 AC, wooden or metal.
Oh. I like the shield, man. I got one myself. I kind of hold it up and show them the barley.
Yeah, followers of the harvest.
No, just a lover of beer.
Well, aren't we all?
Yeah, well, shit. You dwarves. Let me tell you. Anyway, where's Eberk? Is he around? You guys been hanging out? I know you're dwarves, so.
The other thing that you notice as he enters, that I got sidetracked talking about his shield logo, is that he's walking a little more heavily and with purpose because he has a small barrel, about the size of a quarter keg, strapped to his shoulders.
Oh God. What do you got in there, mate?
I just figured that if we're going to go to a plane of fire, that it might be worthwhile to learn how to hold together a device that can keep liquid water present for our uses.
Look, I know that you are all devout these days. I was hoping that since we were going to the plane of fire that you mentioned earlier that we're going to need a lot of water. I would have hoped that, that's a spell that you can get, right? Like, you can...
Well, you can get a spell to produce water. What are you going to do when it evaporates instantly in the plane of fire?
Is it that hot? I've never been. Have you been?
I've never been, but I've heard tales.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to see when we go, huh? And I kind of bump his head with my fists, lightly. The keg across his back. It has a spigot right in the middle of it rather than on one of the ends, so that you could pour from it while he's wearing it. Little brass faucet with a slight, faintly glowing blue symbol above it. Oh, I kind of tap the glowing symbol. Like, what's this all about?
The keg is immediately, obviously cold to the touch.
Oh. Do I sense any type of... I'm not very good in Arcana. I got a +1. Could I see if it's magical, or would I know instinctively?
Go ahead and roll.
That's a 16. That's pretty good.
It does definitely seem to be magical. He sees you poking around and prodding at it, and he says, "Look, I can explain it to you."
I knock him on the head again. I say, "Well, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm proud of you, but go ahead."
So I went to my temple, and some of the other clerics there taught me a specific outside of my spellbook type of spell, and it's once every day I can use up magic that I would have released for healing or some other spell, and use it instead to enchant this keg or any container that's approximately the same size, so that its contents stay slightly above freezing temperature for 24 hours.
My man. Oh. See, this is why I asked you to come along. You're the brains of the operation, right?
He is not the brains of the operation.
Well, I knock on his... Does he have a helmet of any capacity?
He has a... No, he doesn't have a helmet.
Alright, I just kind of knock his forehead.
He's wearing robes, but he's not wearing helmets.
Alright, I lovingly knock his forehead. So
anyway,
this guy's got like a pony keg strapped to his back.
It's a little bit bigger than a pony keg.
Okay, perpetually cool pony keg.
Well, for 24 hours, as long as he burns a spell slot.
Okay, well, still 24 hours. I should be able to get into and out of the fire plane at level 2 in 24 hours.
Sure. Fine. I mean, it's an infinite plane, but I'm sure...
And also, I don't know how to get out of there yet.
Well, you know what? That's called a problem for another day. And in fact, you're not even trying to get out of there. You're trying to get from there to Ravenloft.
Right. I am,
You're so cute.
You can leave that one in.
Yeah, I'll just kind of leave it in there. I have not thought ahead enough to think about, like, I'm going here. Do I know how to get out of there? Like, this place seems really dangerous. Do I know, like, if I want to abort, how to get out of there? I haven't thought that far.
There's some editions where the plane of fire would be immediately deadly to you, and we're not going to play it that way, or the campaign would be dead in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, you burn.
You go to the plane of fire and you're dead.
Yeah. You take, it doesn't even matter what you take. You die.
It is 500 degrees and your body is liquid.
Yeah. Well, but I'm a tiefling now. Doesn't matter.
Your body is liquid in 5 minutes.
It's a slow process. You burn in agony. Okay, so I'm giving him kudos. I'm really pleased with his he's taken action here. He understands, and I may not have given him as much kudos in the past as I should have. But at the same token, like, I saved him and his ox, so...
You saved him and his ox. He came with you to meet to meet a devil lord.
Yeah.
He didn't approach him. He stayed out of sight in case he needed help. But,
yeah.
But he sure came.
We are me and Rakshan, we're kind of building our relationship here, and I'm pleased. I'm very pleased at this moment, and I hope to reciprocate the effort on his side.
Excellent. Well, he's following your lead into an elemental plane. I think that he has a certain amount of trust in you.
So what time is it currently?
I think that Ebrek is showing up right about now.
Showing up about 5 till.
Yep, he is a. If you remember, he is a dwarf in his 20s. He was a student. Dwarfs, at least in my canon, or consider you someone in their 20s to be little beyond a youth. Certainly not a full adult. He was a student, but he has dropped out of Wizard College as he is not interested in learning through reading and is mostly interested in fire. He's shorter and a little thinner than your average dwarf. Dark hair, has a beard, not as thick, not as full as most of these dwarfs you've seen. He shows up as well. He's not carrying any large and obvious magical items like his better equipped traveling companion Rakshan.
I'm not. I try not to show my disappointment. I just try to look happy to see him.
He's got a couple daggers that you didn't see him with before, and he is wearing a backpack as well. But other than that, he doesn't seem to have anything major with him.
All right, I kind of give him a nod, and I ask them. This is all. I mean, we're keeping the conversations in dwarvish. I'm fluent enough where, having grown up with dwarves.
Yeah, you all have common and dwarvish in common.
Yeah, we're just keeping it dwarvish just in case anyone else is trying to like listen in. Even though we're in a city of dwarves.
Just in case any other dwarf wants to hang out in an elemental plane of fire.
Yeah, no, and I am still taking applications, so it's like 2 minutes until, so last call. I check around to see if that guard's showing up. No, okay. So I guess I take the second to, we're all just kind of standing with each other. I'm like, all right, well, I appreciate you guys being here. We're gonna go to the plane of fire. I don't know what to expect. I've never been there, and it sounds like Roxanne, you've never been there. Eberic, I kind of just look at Eberic like for a look of, have you ever been there?
No, that's why I'm coming with you. I want to meet a fire elemental.
Yeah, no, exactly. So they are plentiful, and they are... Anyway. So we're going there. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. This will be an adventure for all of us, and I just want to say that I appreciate you all being with me here, and let's go have some fun. And I kind of put my hand in the center of the three of us.
They, Rakshan, doesn't know what to do at first, but then he puts his hand, he's like, I know where we're going with
this. And then we all look at Eberic.
He looks at the hands, he looks down at the ground, and he looks up at you, and he looks over at Rakshan, and he lets out, a pit, not a deep sigh, but a pitiful sigh, just and he just brings his arm up from the shoulder, almost. A little bit of a limp wrist, because he's not interested, and he's like, let's go to the plane of fire.
Oh! We let out an os. Then we get to it. And then we start walking off in the direction of where our destination is. Now, I didn't take great notes on... God, this is terrible. So I know that I have to be at a bonfire. It has to be midnight. And that is a one-way trip.
Yes.
Okay.
You know that as this is a city underground, that it is unlikely the guards will appreciate you lighting a bonfire within the city limits.
So we're going topside.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We will start making our way out of the mountain home, and I suppose we'll find out in kind of the wilderness, a little bit beyond, not like... I'm sure they probably still have a restriction in the area that we're in for
there's a road. There's a large paved road leading out of the mountain home, and you can see up where it branches to go towards different cities. You wouldn't want to stay directly next to that. The area is lightly forested. There's little almost like parking lot islands of trees here and there. Not super dense.
I'm also not too afraid of causing a ruckus in the wilderness close to the mountain home, just because we're going to be teleporting away. So
you are also lawful good.
Well, what is a bonfire going to do? It's like,
all right. So it sounds like you're going a little closer to the entrance than the most responsible person you've met would do.
Yeah,
but not right next to it.
I'm making a proper bonfire. I'm putting rocks in to kind of keep the ring in tow, and making sure there's not a flammable canopy above me.
All right. Well, what are you going to use for fuel? How are you, Morthos the Tiefling, going to create enough fuel to create what must be considered a bonfire for this ritual to take place?
Eric, you do flames, you're right?
He makes like a human torch, like he's going to make a little bit of flame come out of his hand, but it's just a little spark instead, and he does it a few times until he produces a little flame.
We would have gathered some dry brush and kind of put it into a...
Sure, pick some stuff off the underside of trees. Absolutely, that sounds reasonable. So he can gather that up. He can control flames and cast firebolt as cantrips. So
oh shit.
he is he has no issue generating this as a rip-roaring campfire.
Yeah, a little time goes by, but eventually it gets to that point.
When he uses his control flames after lighting it with a firebolt, when he uses his control flames to increase the size of the blaze until all of the fuel is alight, you see a little bit of a shake, like a little bit of a twitch as some of the magic comes out of his hands, but nothing he can't handle.
I don't know what time it is.
It's getting pretty close to midnight.
How would I know that, though?
I would imagine that a farmer such as yourself, who's used to working outside, can tell where things are by the position of the sun or the moon, depending on what season it is.
Okay, I'm glad you say that, because I wouldn't know when midnight came around. Alright, so we're just kind of hanging out by the fire.
In a society without clocks, there's a lot of guesstimation, and as far as spells are concerned, it's not usually a problem.
Okay.
May affect where you wind up in the plane, but you don't.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Alright, so we're just... it's the final countdown, and we're just sitting around the campfire, and... I guess I won't say anything, because, like, I've talked a lot, and I don't want to keep berating these guys with, like... oh yeah, it's going to be cool, we're going to go there, it's going to be great. I'm just kind of like, okay, we're all just kind of getting into the zone, that's fine. And then as it gets closer to midnight, I suppose I know what to do from there. I have this dust, and I'm prepared to use it in the way that was prescribed to me.
Roll perception.
Oh dear.
You don't see anything.
Oh. Good.
Alright, well, it's midnight, so you are prepared to do your ritual. I imagine that the little baggie of powder with the tiny scroll of explaining the ritual is not something you left in your
Nope.
in your rickshaw. Alright.
Nope, definitely in the backpack.
So, you've reached that time. As it's been explained to you, this is a part where you'd want to throw the powder into the fire and perform the hand motions and speak the chant and make some magic happen.
Yeah, I have written down here pictograms.
Yes, describing the specific motions, almost an interpretive dance.
Oh, right. Okay, so I'm down with it, because, you know, like, I'm an entertainer. That's my background, so I'm down with that, and I'm kind of like showing the boys and how it's done.
All right, so you throw the powder in. It crackles, it pops, it sputters a little bit, but nothing else. You start doing the moves. You have the scroll. You keep referring back to it as you do one motion or the next. And as you do them, the flames raise. They raise a little higher and higher. They previously weren't as tall as you, but as you dance, they do increase to about maybe 2 feet above the size of your head. And as that happens, as they flicker and crackle, the pointed tips of the flames round off until they eventually merge together, and it's almost like the bonfire is a glowing bubble, an oval over the tinder on the ground. And out of it you can feel a hot wind.
Alright, I jump in head first.
As you leap through, it's immediately the hottest air you have ever felt in your life. As you land, you fall from like a foot or two in the air. It's not stepping in as you'd expect. So you land.
I missed a step.
Yeah, exactly. You land hands and knees on a barren ash ground, you look around a little bit, choke a little bit on some of the dust that comes up as you breathe, and it's just overwhelmingly hot. It's more heat than you've ever experienced, but slowly you realize that it doesn't bother you as much as you expected. It must have something to do with your infernal heritage.
I look back to the portal, or wherever the hell I came from, and I'm looking for my friends.
The portal is gone, and you see your two friends behind you a few feet. Both of them are sweating like crazy.
Oh dear.
You're on a expansive ash, almost like, not quite a canyon. It's like you're in between two incredibly high ridges of this ashy ground. Everything you see around you is just further gray and black char. It's like something burned and gouged out the ground where you are. It seems to be about a quarter mile wide, and you don't know how long it goes. It seems to twist and turn. The sky is a consistent red with no obvious sun. And every so often in the distance, and some closer to you, you see little red cracks spiderweb across the ground, and then when they meet, a column of flame shoots up into the air 20 feet high.
Well, here we are, my friends. How does the air feel?
Both Rakshan and Ibrik are able to breathe, but not great. Like, well, here we are. Are we going to find... Do you know what we're looking for? Do you know where we should go?
I'm going to do... Can I see any type of, like... anything in the horizon, any point of interest that may
You can't see the horizon. You are in a deep trench.
Okay. Does there appear to be any lead out and like a gradual step up and out, or is this I'm in a pit?
The ridges are steep, but they're climbable. They're traversable. You wouldn't even have to climb. You could walk up them. But they are tall. They are very tall.
How tall are we talking?
Well, the 20-foot high columns of flame do not reach the top, not by a long shot. But you could get up there. It wouldn't be a day's travel to walk up those. But you don't know how far in either direction this trench you are in goes.
All right. Well, I start scaling one of the. I pick a direction because I don't know. I pick a direction and I start climbing. And...
Yeah, as you walk and your friends walk, they it becomes apparent, obviously, from the moment that you are walking, that when you see those spiderweb cracks, that you need to run one way or the other, but you need to get away from them. So it's walk, run, walk, run the other way. And so progress is slow because you're trying to avoid these spires of elemental flame. And as you look back while you're climbing the ridges, you see that both Rakshan and Ebrik they're climbing, stopping to put their hands, their faces, their neck against this cold keg that Rakshan is carrying. The heat is obviously bothering them substantially more than it's bothering you. But they are keeping up. They're hardy creatures, if nothing else.
Oh yeah.
And as you get towards the top of the ridge, you can see just as you start to crest it, it becomes obvious that you wound up in the best possible place in the floodplain, because as you crest, you see a rainbow of different colors of flame on all sorts of the ground. It's clear that you're coming out of a wound in the plain, if nothing else. You see a ground of a red flame with little plumes of purple flames coming up as though they're plants. There's There's blue flames that sort of leap out and crash in to the surface of the flame in every direction. There's just endless movement and energy. It's almost too much for you to take in with your eyes. There's things that may be creatures, but none of them are close to you, and none of them are accessible to you through this flame. That's obvious from its appearance that it would be deadly to the touch.
So there's just a lot of commotion happening in front of me.
It's an incredible amount of action. It's a whole ecosystem of creatures and plants and ground and weather that's all comprised of different temperatures and different types of elemental flame. You can see the giant gash that you're in. It's like, if a physical feature like this appeared on where you're from in the material plane, you would have imagined that it would have been something like a giant's flaming sword that created the damage you see. But compared to what the rest of the plane looks like, it's almost the opposite. Maybe it's a sort of ice would be more your guess. To one end of the trench, you see it seems to go off and off into the distance. You can't see where it goes, but the other end leads to a black mountain sticking up out of the plane. Flames do travel up and down it, but it's not completely covered like the rest of the plane, where it seems that the landscape itself is comprised of flame.
Okay. So behind me, I can't really see where that ends. It just kind of goes off.
It just sort of trails off into the distance.
There is a large black peak.
Yes, it's fully a mountain.
Fully a mountain. So does it seem to be? And okay, so there's that, and then ahead of me there's the chaos of kind of all this fiery life ahead of me.
That's not just ahead of you. That's everywhere except for the canyon you're in. It's not really a canyon because there's no cliffs, but the divot.
So other than the black mountain, is there anything else that's diverse? Anything else that is apart from the wildlife that I'm seeing out here?
No other landscape features. I mean, they're beyond nothing that's not also comprised of flame.
Okay. Well, the only thing that really stands out, it's a bit ominous. It's black, and it's a big mountain, but I'm going to go ahead and head towards the Black Mountain.
Eberic and Rakshan come with you as well. It seems that rather than take your counsel, they've accepted your decisions as de facto, as they have fully committed their entire thought process to doing whatever they can to keep cool.
So they're not really paying attention to...
They're paying attention to following you. They're paying attention to avoiding the plumes of flame coming from the ground. So how are you going to do? You're gonna walk up along the upper part or the side of this ridge line, or are you going to go back down into the chasm?
I don't want to go back into the chasm, because that's the pit of ash that we came from.
Well, all the ground that you're stepping on is ash.
Okay, but at least where we came from, it was like barren in a sense, where nothing was going crazy.
That's right.
And in order to get to this Black Mountain, is there the kind of chaos of life?
No, the gash in the plane, as it were, follows the full way there.
Oh, so the gash is kind of like a groove leading all the way to the top there.
Yes.
Okay. Well, shit, we just climbed all the fucking way up here. We will hug the ridgeline then.
You're gonna hug with the ridgeline?
Yeah.
All right. You in perception.
It's a 9.
as you're walking for, we'll say, about maybe a couple hours. Your companions have broken into the keg a few times to quench their thirst a little bit.
Sure.
Do what they can. As you're walking, before you're almost on top of it by the time you see it, but you hear, "Hey, what are you doing up there?" Coming down from the bottom of the trench.
This is in common.
This is in common.
I look down into the trench. Do I see anything?
There, towards the bottom of the trench, there is a cart made of a smooth-looking black wood that you're unfamiliar with, pulled by a. You wouldn't have seen an ostrich as a farmer, but you may have heard tales. And even if you had, it would only vaguely describe this creature, which is a bipedal avian creature that is thicker and heavier, almost like a shorter but much stronger, muscular bird used as a beast of burden. It has white and black coloring like an ostrich does, but its eyes are its eyes have an anger. And its beak is incredibly wide and sharp. Sitting on the back of the cart is it's a little gnome woman. Cart is carrying a covered load covered in tarps.
Are we talking about a cart or are we talking about a rickshaw?
We're talking about an actual cart. 4 wheels.
Okay.
4 wheels with a little driving board up towards the front that this gnome woman is sitting on.
Alright, a gnome. Gotcha. I kind of look down, I'm kind of squinting, like, okay, gnome. Well, just hanging out in the fire plane. What are you doing? Not a whole lot of gnomes out here. I mean, I know, like, dwarves, kind of not very normal either, but... Where are you headed?
She's like, I'm headed back home. I've been watching you, and it's a little weird that someone would come here so unprotected.
Oh, what do you mean? We're fine. Yeah, we're okay.
At that moment, one of the pillars of flame shoots up from underneath her wagon and shoots up into the air. And when it dissipates, it's as though nothing happened. She's still there.
Ah, that's a cool trick. Are these crags that explode out of the earth, are these illusionary, or are you just kind of accustomed to the fare here?
Okay, so it is your first time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what gave it away? Is it my 2 friends over here, like, dying?
They see that they're taking a break, and they're falling over each other to get a drink.
Yeah, we obviously. How far away is this person? They're at the bottom of the.
They're at the bottom. It sounds like you're still near the top.
Yeah, I'm like shouting down.
You're screaming down.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and
try to do some sort of cool slide down the ridge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leave a trail of ash in your wake. Yeah. Hey, give me athletics. We'll see if you succeed.
Athletics or acrobatics?
Oh, I guess this would be acrobatics, wouldn't it?
Whatever you want, man. Well, I am proficient in acrobatics and athletics. One of them gets a +4, the other one gets a +1.
We'll say acrobatics.
Okay, cool. So it's a 17.
You're able to slide down. You put one foot forward, the other one behind you sideways. You just sort of slip. It's interesting with your hooves because they sort of dig deep into the ash as you go down. But right as you get to the bottom, you're able to just step out of the ash pile you've created and approach this gnomish woman who is eye to eye with you as she is sitting on top of this cart.
Right, okay, no. Okay, she's on top of the cart. I figured I'd come down and, so we don't have to shout. Are you local? Are you native? Are you... Gnomes aren't typical in the fire plane. I don't know much about the fire plane, but...
Well, no one's native here who isn't born of fire itself, but there's business opportunities to be had.
Okay. Well, look, talk is cheap. Is there a way of not completely being overwhelmed by the heat here? I'm fine. My friends, you can see them up there. That's Rockshawn. That's Everett. Good guys. They're having a bit of a hard time.
Like, Eric has poured a little bit of drink out of the keg, and but he didn't get quite into his mouth as he expected. It sort of falls towards the earth a little bit and just off into steam. Even though it's not hot enough to boil here, it seems that there is some elemental magic in the air as well that prevents liquid from existing.
Ah, that's good. That's good.
She says, "Look, you boys are, you boys might be in a little bit over your head with this one."
You think?
I can see you're headed in the right direction, towards the Obsidian Mountain, and there's a mine there. It's where I've come from, and it's where I'm heading back to one of the gates back to my city, and I am hauling some of the pure obsidian that is mined on that mountain. But the workers there, and everyone has have different ways of dealing with the heat, and well, they're pretty expensive, and I had to pay a lot of money to be able to traverse this plane in comfort. There might be something they could work out with you.
Well, yeah, it's worthwhile information, definitely. The Obsidian Mountain there, is this just like a mining node? Is this a town? You'll have to forgive me, it's my first time, obviously.
Oh, there's, it's been here for longer than most civilized places in the material plane. Currently there is an active mine right at the edge of this wound that I like to travel through to avoid some of the more hostile wildlife.
Gotcha. And I kind of notioned down for that guy to come down. Right. Gotcha. No, it seems like a great place to...
Yeah, but yeah, some of the mineral wealth there is something that's a little harder to come by, but is also valuable and pretty in a lot of different gnomish mechanisms. Yeah, I would. I'm sure there's ruins. I believe there was once a city there, but I'm sure that it has ceased to exist long before gnomes began to exist.
That's fascinating. It really is. I'm trying to get somewhere.
Trying to get somewhere in the plane of fire.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird. What the fuck am I doing in the plane of fire?
Would you like a reminder?
That might be good.
Why did I go to the plane of fire?
Yeah, well...
You traveled to the elemental plane of fire on the advice of the devil Essek. He told you that you wanted to seek out a Ifriti by the name of Ebereth.
That's right.
Who resides in the city of Brass, the most famous city on the plane of fire, who might be able to assist you in your travels to Ravenloft, or at least your ability to get there.
Why don't I have that written down?
That sort of thing. Yes, that's the sort of thing you maybe should write out.
Finish permanent portals, under prediction and loss. God Harvest, Quick Boy, Lower Plains, Mortal Dead, Destroyer, City Truth. Yeah, I have it written down. Ebereth. I have it written down. I have Jin, Ebereth, Ravenloft.
God.
That's my order of operations. Okay. All right.
Well, as far as we're concerned, this campaign, Jin and Ifriti are synonyms. Synonyms.
All right. So obviously, like, City of Brass is pretty, like, everyone knows, capital of the plane of fire, City of Brass.
As much as you can rule over an infinite plane.
Right. So I'll kind of gesture to the Obsidian Mountain. I'm like, so that's good. That seems like a worthwhile investment if I was making gnomic trinkets and what have you. I'm really actually trying to get to the big city of Brass, if you know what I mean.
She looks up at you and says, well, if you're looking to get to the floating city...
Oh, God, it's floating. Of course it's floating.
Then you're going to need
Yeah.
a little something
Yeah.
to let you walk over this flaming ground without burning off your pretty little hooves.
Yeah. Yeah, about that. So, sounds like you obviously know what that would be. What might that be? Is that something I can obtain?
Well, I've got this here amulet.
Yeah.
And I obviously need it to be able to get back to my hometown without having myself and my wares destroyed on the way back.
Oh, yeah.
But I can tell you that they produce maybe not this high quality, but something that will keep you from getting a little too toasted. You might have to do a little work, but I'm sure that they'll feel. I'm sure that the miners will feel a kinship for a ragtag bunch of dwarves and a tiefling.
Yeah, you got
that
it.
have managed to stumble across this plane of elemental power with absolutely no preparation.
We got a keg. It's pretty chilled.
Oh, I'm sure that will help you greatly in reaching the Obsidian Mountain.
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't recommend stopping to sleep.
Well,
If you can't survive one of the jets, then you're not going to want to stand in any one place too long. Speaking of, you might want to back up a few feet for a moment.
I have danger sense, so like I have advantage on saving throws against things that I can see.
You can see the orange and red cracks appearing.
Okay.
By this time, as you're jumping back, you see that your dwarf buddies have managed to stumble their way down the ridge.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. I just don't want them to have to fare the wilds up there. Well, look, I haven't caught your name, and I got so into like shouting at you in the cavern that I just wasn't like the pleasantries. Kind of once you're like 100 feet away from someone, pleasantries just don't come into factor there. So you mentioned that you're on your way to the Obsidian Mountain, correct?
I'm on my way from. I've made my trip. I have loaded with goods, and I am headed back home.
Well, where exactly are you heading home from, though? Is there a place, there's an exit door out of here?
Oh, at the a couple days travel down this down this gash in the plane, there's a portal if you know how to open it.
Right. Does it involve using dust?
No, this is more of a permanent fixture than any of those little parlor tricks.
Is this something you could let me in on, or is this like a trade secret? Like, I'd like to have an exit route out of here if need be. Like, if shit hits the fan.
Look, there's a whole ritual involving an attuned rod and certain magical enchantments. I can't give you a way out, but I do make this journey every few weeks. So, if you were needing a way out and you came back this way, you wouldn't have to wait too long before I was traveling this way again.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And that is assuming.
Yeah.
That is assuming you managed to survive that long.
Well, you said you had your call and you're on your way. Well, I guess, could you point in the direction of where the city might be? I know it's floating, but like a general direction.
Well, the city of Brass is more towards the center of the plane. We're close to the edge. Edge of, I suppose, the mapped part of the plane. I imagine it goes on forever.
Oh, no, certainly. And if I were to go to the Obsidian Mount, would I be closer to or further away from?
You'd be a little closer. It's actually, it's in that direction. It's beyond the mountain. I've never been, but the people I've heard that have traveled that direction usually crest the peak.
Alright. Well, it appears I have a goal in mind. I appreciate your time. Any other advice for some newly minted adventurers hanging out in the elemental plane of fire?
Yeah. Don't try to cast a fire spell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I look over at Eberic and I just kind of like...
Yeah, he looks personally attacked. He's like, I can do other spells.
Good. Because fire doesn't work. Fight fire with fire. It's not like a real thing. It doesn't actually work. Not here. Not in the origin of fire.
Well, you can fight fire with fire, but it depends on. It really depends on how much fire each side has has available to them.
Shut up! No, I don't even know your name. I'm not gonna get your name. I'm just gonna walk off and gesture for my dwarfs to come with me.
I even pulled up the page full of gnome names.
Nope. We're onwards. We're going, man.
All right, so you're gonna take off and just peace out.
Yeah, I'm not a...
No more conversation with this gnome?
I'm not a murder hobo, and I'm not just gonna, like...
Well, she's also a wealthy trader who has come to this plane many times, makes it a regular trip.
Yeah.
That's part of it, too. There's a good chance that she's not so helpless.
Yeah. Well, we're still alive, so...
As to be unable to kill 3 people who are under level 2.
Yeah, anyway, we walk away.
As you're walking, she shouts back right after she whips her reins and starts off again. She says, "Oh, I forgot. If you hear a bird call, there's no actual birds here. You should run."
Yeah. Good. No birds. I just gestured for us to walk onwards.
All right. So as you're traveling, you can see the backwards, heavy set ostrich-style footprints that were from its previous journey, along with the cart tracks. It's wide enough that the 3 of you could walk side by side and be within the wheel ruts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll follow it.
Yeah, you follow. It's going the same, or it's coming from the same direction as this canyon you're in. It's not too long, maybe an hour or two before the the shifting ash makes the tracks invisible, as it were, but you're still traveling, following the ridge line, going where you're going. It's not impossible. You journey for about 8 hours. At that point, you can see the peak of the Obsidian Mountain, even as you're at the bottom of the ridge. You are starting to get tired. It is tiring to continue at this pace. It's tiring to continue for this long, and your dwarf companions are sweating. They are tripping over each other. They are drinking whatever they can out of the keg. Do you want to do anything? You want to continue?
Can I tell, based off of where the Obsidian Mount is from us, a rough estimate of our ETA? At current pace.
It's not going to be another full day's travel, but you are sure going to wish you had a rest. Your dwarves especially. You might be able to get that far unscathed.
Alright, I look back to him and I say, what do you think, guys? What's your nuts said that we shouldn't stay in any one place for a while. But it seems like you guys might need a second.
As if to punctuate this, there is a pillar of flame that comes up behind you far enough back that it doesn't do any... That's not... dangerous. It's become a common occurrence.
Yeah, it's like I'm kind of aware of them. They're just kind of more of an annoyance. It's like, shit. God damn it! It's like a fly in the building. It's like, shit. If I look over to where the it slopes up into the ridge there, at any points in my travels have I seen any fire burst out from the sides there?
Burst out from the sides of the ridge?
Yeah.
You've seen some up near the top and you've seen some near the bottom. You haven't seen any jets directly from the sides, no.
And if I start scaling up the side, like, what type of purchase can I get? Is it just all ash, or does it hit a solid at a certain point?
Not only is it ash, but the ground below it seems to be spongier than you'd expect. Like as you step, it's almost, if it wasn't so hot, it'd be like walking on a slightly rubberized road. It'd be easier walking. It doesn't seem, even as you walk, it doesn't seem that at any point there's anything fully under the ash. It's almost as though the ash itself is created from this wound in the plain.
Okay. I'm going to look to my companions and see if, does any of them have like a stick or some shit I can poke with?
Well, let me check on their inventories.
And or is there anything, I know it's primarily ash throughout here, is there any like remnants of anything?
It doesn't seem that this area is very traversed, especially considering the life that you saw at the peak of the ridge. You would think that for any inhabitants of this plane, this area would be considered a dead land.
Okay. I'm going to kind of start scaling up the side, and I want to, like, brush past some of the ash and kind of, like, try to get my hand in.
Try to reach to the bottom?
I want to see, like, what's in there. See if I can, like... I'm thinking about, like, stapling something to the side of the wall here and create like some hammock so we don't have to worry about the fire bursts.
Trying to bury something deep. Let's see.
I guess I would either have, I mean, canon-wise, I didn't really start off with any type of pack or anything.
Yes.
But they may have like Dungeoneer's packs or...
Everett has some pitons in his pack, heavy metal anchors used to stick into rocks. Now this ash gets denser as you dig down. It's never as dense as a stone wall, but you can wedge one in there pretty firmly. You know, you can wedge one in there enough that I could ask for a roll to see if it stays.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
That's the kind of depth we're talking about.
Yeah. I suppose we will. I guess we'll try to just get some pittons in there and create like a makeshift like. We have rope too, yeah.
Both of them have rope.
Yeah, so we have enough rope. We can kind of create like some harnesses, and we're just gonna like take a rest on these pittons on the side.
like when you're going up the climbing wall, and they're like, "All right, you need to take a break. Just grab the rope and lean back with your feet on the wall and just rest."
And they're just kind of like,
that sort of thing. You're gonna.
Yeah.
So you're engineering yourself your short rest.
Yeah, it seems like they need one. So, they mentioned that they indicated that they needed one. Yeah.
They're more or less not talking as they walk, but it's clear to you that they have lost a lot of their body weight in liquid at this point.
Okay.
There's not a lot of baby fat left on these dwarves.
Well, they're looking good. They're
looking svelte as ever. If they're going to take any after pictures for their for their workout regimen, now is the time.
How's the keg looking?
It's there's still quite a bit in it.
Okay, good. I encourage them to keep going because I would imagine I have a wineskin or like a thing of water.
You do have a water skin. Both of them have water skins as well.
Okay.
Are you going to drink or what are you doing?
Oh no, I'm doing nothing with it right now.
Okay.
Because we still got a keg, so it's all good. The pittons though.
Roll me. Let's see. Let's call this survival. Roll me survival. See if you know enough about wilderness engineering to wedge this into a slightly mobile surface.
I am proficient in survival, but I have only a +1 to wisdom. So.
Well, let's see where this. Let's see what you do.
You know that thing where like you drop something on the floor and it just disappears?
I think it's under the couch. I'm pretty sure that's where it is every time that happens.
Oh.
For listeners at home, we're crawling around on the floor.
There's a lot of crumbs down here. I see what is... I'm not going to say what that is.
A 2-year-old lives in this house also.
Oh. Man, it's a 6.
6 total?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's a 6... It's 8 total.
It's 8 total.
I'm proficient. That makes a difference, right?
Alright. So, you set up harnesses for the 3 of you.
Well, for the 2 of them, I don't need a harness. Yeah.
Oh, you don't need a harness?
I don't need to rest. So.
You don't need to rest. You're just gonna keep an eye. So, Rokshan and Ebrick are resting these harnesses. They're chit-chatting a little bit. Wow. Do you see those... See the
legs
flames?
On that?
See the legs on that bird? Chunky.
Oh, something.
See, I've never seen fire in those colors before. Not even in Blacksmith's Forge. Ebrick is underneath all of the sweat and all of the exhaustion and the grime from just the ash that's stuck to his face at this point. You can see those pearly whites. He's cracking a smile. He's
enjoying himself.
He likes this.
Okay.
He's ready for a. He's ready to learn what he can learn about this place, and he's already seemed to have picked something up.
Oh, good.
Rokshan's harness does start to slip.
Okay, well...
He's trying to rest, but like Ebrick, he's having a good time. He's able to catch his breath. He's doing fine. Rokshan Not so much.
Can I, like, as this thing's starting to come down,
you can, like, sort of push him back up, give him what you can. It's just not as restful for him. He's just not as able to get it. He's not able to catch his breath as well. And he has to keep coming back up.
I pull my lute.
play a song of resting. He just, he's spending too much of his energy just scrambling back up, trying to re-find purchase, get the pitten back in there.
It's uncomfortable.
It's not. It's not the rejuvenating moment that it is for Ebrick.
Alright. Well. Okay. Well, we kind of gather ourselves back up then.
As you, alright, so as you start out on your journey again, you're walking for 3 hours, you're getting closer and closer. The red sky is starting to turn into a yellow, and the heat is increasing. It's gotten to the point where it's starting to tire you.
It's starting to tire me, which means double trouble for the boys. Okay.
It's, yeah. But on the plus side, you're getting very close to the...
Okay.
You're getting very close. You're coming up, you're coming around a bend, you're seeing tracks back and forth in the area are starting up again. Alright, so... As you three are coming around the corner, Rakshan lagging behind, Ebrick's not letting him lag too far behind.
So I'm coming up on a space that's a little bit more well-traveled, it seems.
A little more travel, there's footprints, there's more cart tracks.
Alright.
It's not, the gash in the plane is a little bit, it has been deepening somewhat, so it's almost like there's a little bit of shade if it wasn't for the fact that light is coming from all directions of the sky at once.
Okay. So I've also now, like, Rakshan's not carrying the cake anymore. I've kind of got it, and I'm like, I have it on the back of his neck, and I'm like kind of pushing him along.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of like.
Alright. Well, as you come around, you're starting to approach, and you get to, you start to see the mountain come into full view. It's coming around a corner, a little bit of a slight bend, and it's tall, and it is directly in front, and the path that you're on, it slopes a little bit downward, and goes into an entrance. It almost seems like So this towering spire of a peak above you, like you can only imagine the shadow it would cast if it wasn't for the unrelenting light of this plane. The ash pathway before you is dug downward, shifting all the time toward a carved a door at the bottom of a long slope. Carved doorway. The closer you get to it, the more you see the different regions and windows and openings, pathways, side roads, switchbacks. There's been a lot of carving having been done. Statues, some destroyed, some still standing. Words in scripts you couldn't possibly understand. There's an amazing amount of history on this obsidian peak, and it seems that your gnomish guide was correct in that the miners here are only the most recent in a multi-creature historical operation.
Right.
There's cultures that exist and cultures that likely don't have left their mark on this peak.
So this place has been around for.
This place is old.
Okay. Alright. But as we're walking off, I'm just seeing structures, or am I seeing more movement with folks and more traders, or is there no movement?
You haven't seen any of their traders. Not right now, but you do see some movement on the peaks. up and down the mountain, in and out of the little the doorway that you're approaching. It seems like the higher up on the mountain you see, the less movement there is. There's occasional fiery bolt going up and down on the sides of the peak, but you don't know whether or not you'd be able to see any non-flame creature traversing it from this distance.
Okay, and there's a door visible.
There is a doorway visible.
Okay, we're gonna trudge forward.
All right. As you get closer and closer to the doorway, you see you can sort of see into it. It's big wide passage, but also on the outside of it, it's carved into the faces of the mountain. There's like a what you call a stable, but it's similar to how the previous wagon you saw was pulled by an enormous bird. The beasts of burden are not beasts of burden you are familiar with. Some of them are lizard-like. One of them seems to be an enormous beetle.
Yeah.
There's somehow the cart design, the idea of a wide flat body with wheels and axles seems to be some sort of cultural universal. But beasts of burden vary so as much as the creatures you see trading and loading them.
So I'm just seeing kind of like the stable pens here. I'm not really seeing any type of intelligent creatures.
You do see people who seem to be loading the carts. There's some that look like dwarves, some that seem to be like dwarves but with gray skin and great red beards that are more like manes around their heads. There's different kinds of elves. There's humans, some of whom seemed to be shackled rather than moving their own volition.
Oh dear.
There's a lot of different types of creatures.
Okay. Can I guess as I'm passing through some of these people, I'm starting to come into the mix of the, maybe not a crowd, but at least a loose gathering of people as I'm coming through. As I'm looking at these people, like, there's dwarves, there's humans. I'm looking at them. Is there anything that they are wearing that is unique or that seems to be uniform across?
Every single creature you see here is either wearing an amulet with a dim red stone. You'd say it was a ruby if it wasn't so dull. Or a ring with the same stone, or is directly next to or in contact with another creature that does.
Okay. So I'd like to, with my party, my two dwarf friends, we'll walk up to, in the proximity of another dwarf. Not one of the gray-skinned ones. I just want to find one that kind of looks similar to what I know. And I want to ask about... Gosh, what would I say? So I'll hail one of them down, and I'll just kind of ask him for a second. Just any given dwarf that I see on the side.
Alright, well, one approaches you. He's bald on the top of his head, has a long black braided beard. Most of the dwarves you know seem to be back home, wear a lot of heavy, thick clothing that gives protection from the different work that they would be doing, from cuts, scrapes, things like that. He is wearing very soft, thin, breathable linens, almost like a almost like someone who's come to LA to start his own religion.
Okay. So he's wearing like a simple linen, what do they call those muumuus? Like just the one over shawl, or not the shawl.
Exactly. Yeah. He appreciates it. He appreciates the airflow, and he is not as concerned with the same dwarvish standards.
Okay, so I hail him in dwarvish, and ask his name.
He responds to you. His dwarvish is understandable, but it is also you get the same impression that you would as someone who speaks English natively reading Shakespeare. It's like the word choices he uses are weird and odd, and it's a little dated, a little archaic.
Okay.
But you can understand each other, if not the idioms you use.
So as I get closer to him, I want to kind of get, not in his face, but just kind of friendly closeness to him. Do I feel any type of relief from the
Yes.
heat? Okay, so I go ahead and I have
as soon as you're within almost like breath distance, like within 2-3 feet.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and put the dwarves ahead of me and kind of like...
Both of them immediately sigh.
Yeah. And I just kind of place my hands on them, and I say to the dwarf, we seem to have come into this place without the proper, what would you call it? Pieces of equipment so that we don't succumb to the weather out here.
Yes. Thank you.
It's been a number of years since we've been through the area. How would one go about picking a proper jewelry up in order not to die?
I realize now that I essentially set myself up to have to improvise Shakespearean language, which is obviously the dumbest thing I could have possibly done.
Yeah, on a record, no doubt.
On record, I chose this foolish path.
Yes.
I will have him speak to you in normal English.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's an easy way of. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a cop out. I understand.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, it's the." Actually, give me a deception roll.
Sure. Oh God. It's an 18.
Oh, well then. Oh, well, it's must have been a significant number of years. You don't even look old enough. But it's no matter. There's a... they call them amulets of comfort. And I don't know if that's the mystical name or if that's what the sages call them or what, but that's what us workers call them. And if you get caught with that one, boy, you're in for a rough time. And he looks over at Rakshan, who's become a little bit red in the face.
Sure.
And he says, "Well, if I was unfortunate enough to get caught with that one,
Yeah.
I would head up to the labor office, and I would tell them that I wanted to perform a special task. And I've got to warn you, there's a reason they have an abundance of special tasks available at all times.
Oh.
And it's because the rest of us don't want to do them.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you can pull it off, then well, you just might might be able to sleep in peace tonight, or what passes for night.
Yeah, I know. Am I right? Yeah.
It's like jeez, it's a hot one. It's not even noon.
Oh, okay. Not even noon. Is there a place where the unbelievable... Again, it's been a number of years. They've done some remodeling throughout here. So a couple new structures I'm not privy to. is there a place where we could seek refuge in the meantime? Seems like it's only going to get hotter, my friend.
He laughs a little bit. He's like, the heat... Refuge from the heat is not something you can really achieve here. The heat comes from the ground. The heat comes from the sky. The heat comes from the air. If you're here...
It's all coming back to me now.
There's heat.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd recommend getting your little butt up there as quick as you can.
All right. If you just pointed out, it's been a number of years since we've been through. Haven't they relocated? Or
he's like, so what you're going to want to do is you want to go down this main wide path, and then you're going to see a statue that used to be a giant. It's only his ankles and his knees left now. We call it giant's knees. Whatever you want to call it is fine, I'm sure. Just take a left there. Go up a staircase. It is the first room, but there are a few other rooms there that you can rent if you can. If you're someone who can rest here. He gives you a big old smile. He's missing a few teeth.
Oh god. All right. Well, I bid him farewell, and I got a motion. Where are you? If you don't mind me asking, where are you off to?
Yeah, I'm off to doing what I do best. Mine and black iron.
Oh yeah. I met a trader on the way over. Fairly well stocked up on it. Is it it must be a fairly lucrative business, right?
Well, there's obsidian, which we sent back to the different material planes. Then there's the black iron, which usually goes off to city brass.
Right. How long of a journey out to the city of brass would you say? Modest travel time.
Oh, if you're taking your time, 4 or 5 days. If you're running into any trouble, you could easily double that.
Yeah, no doubt. Any type of again, hate to keep saying it, but it's been a while since I've been around. Any type of expedited transports for folks looking to, 4 or 5 days is quite a bit of time. And time is money. I'm sure you understand.
I've heard that there's a few different flying units in the military at the City of Brass. And I know the military does inspections of this place every so often. I don't know if you'd be able to hitch a ride with them or if they'd even let you, but that's the fastest travel I could imagine.
Flying. All right. Yeah, I think I've seen them kind of popping around here, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, my friend. We'll take your advice and we'll get to it. And I kind of leave him to go off on the direction that he's going. How long? This has been like a couple minutes conversation, right?
Yeah, not very long.
Okay. All right, that's enough.
All right, it's been a couple minutes of conversation, not super long. What do you want to do?
All right. Before we call it, I feel like we should at least get up to the labor office and see what's going on there. So he's giving me a general direction, yeah?
Yeah, you know exactly where to go. He's pretty specific.
Main path, there's a statue of ankles and knees. To go left there, the staircase, and it's the first room.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So we're going to head up, and I know it's probably even more torturous for the guys as it's heading towards noon in the day. But again, I'm just kind of have that keg in the back, making sure that they're staying hydrated, and if I need to carry them, so I carry them. It's not a big deal.
Well, you don't want to need to carry them. It's a little tough. You're making sure they're staying hydrated.
Yeah.
You staying hydrated?
Staying hydrated. Yeah. I'm not taking the cool stuff. I'm attempting to drink out of my wine.
You open it up and steam comes out.
Okay, that was an experiment. Yeah, I'll take some, but I'm very conservative with my intake.
As you take a sip, it's not water. It is a heavy dwarven stout. To you, it's almost like sludge.
Oh.
It is thick. But it is ice cold.
Guys! Guys! What are you doing? I spit it out.
As it comes out of your mouth, just wafts away.
I'm looking at the red face beat Rakshan. I'm like, what are you doing?
He's like, have you never had to satisfy
To satisfy what?
an overheated dwarf?
You're fucking extreme day drinking? Dude. We were talking about water the last time we were talking.
Oh, I can look. I'll make water if we have to make water. I'm just.
How much is left?
There's a lot left
In the keg?
in the keg. Yeah,
Oh,
it's more than half.
more than half. They've just been fucking. Oh.
They've just been drinking heavy beer this whole time. It's like 9% or more.
Okay, I shake him and I'm like, you can make water?
I can make water.
Okay, I go to the tap and I just like let it all go, man. Like I'm holding.
The other dwarf, Ebrecht's just trying to shovel as much into his mouth as he can, but he can't reach it. It's all steam.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just letting it go until it starts dripping.
Well, it's empty now. He doesn't have to carry quite so much.
I take it off, and does it open?
You can. Well, I mean, he can fill it with water magically if he wants.
I say fill it with water magically.
All right, he casts one of his 2 remaining spells for the day and fills it with water.
Okay, and then I have him take a good drink of that.
He's a little disappointed. A little bit of the red leaves his face, but he's still overheated.
Give it to Eberick as well. Give him a good dousing of water.
So you go into the labor office?
For fuck's sakes. Yeah.
All right. So as you go in, there's a couple dwarves there. There's also there is also a large red-skinned devil-looking like man who you assume, given that you are on the plane of fire, is an Ifriti. He's giving them instructions. He's pointing them in a direction, and they're heading off. He sees you walk in. He says, "Oh, hey, newcomers."
Oh, not necessarily new, but just kind of in need of a bit of assistance is all.
All right. What kind of assistance would that be? He said, while looking at your 2 dwarf companions who are dripping with sweat.
We've misplaced our comfort ambulance.
And you need some back, and it's an emergency, and it's got to be today, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I know it's probably a story you hear every once in a while, but we're willing to put in the time and the work in order to make it right.
He's like, well, I've got one thing that's worth 3 comfort amulets.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
Every so often, in one of our black iron mines, we strike a once we get to the obsidian into the black iron, every so often we strike a vein of gemstones. Not very often. Very rare. Highly unlikely. Very lucrative if we can get them. Unfortunately, they attract a little bit of trouble. Sort of trouble that my miners don't like to deal with. In this case, there's a fire drake. feel like taking him on?
Well, yeah. Point us in the right direction, and I'm looking at the dwarf. What the fuck's a drake?
Yeah. He gives you some directions, some rights, lefts, ups, downs. I'm not going to list them all.
Sure,
since
yeah,
this is
I
a
have
scrawling
Edward
with
take it
canvas.
down. It's like, yeah,
Okay,
he's kind of my scribe. I don't really write things down. I don't have anything to write anything down with. I'm assuming since he's a former student, he has at least a notebook with him.
Let me check. What did I say he has with him?
Well, look, he's a previous student. He would have a notebook.
Well, remember that he's a student who left because you offered him a way to learn about fire without reading books.
He didn't bring one book with him?
He hates books.
He has a spell book, doesn't he? Or he's a sorcerer?
He's a sorcerer. He doesn't have a spell book.
Fuck. Alright, well,
Alright. So you guys gonna head down into that mine?
we're gonna head down to that mine.
Alright. How are you gonna do so? What's he gonna do? What kind of order are you gonna go in? What kind of way are you gonna walk down there?
Okay. I say we leave that for next time. I'm getting tired. I can't think straight.
You're afraid to start a fight in this condition.
Yeah, I am. When we do combat, am I going to... shall I play my comrades, or shall you act as if...
So I haven't decided fully, and I feel like we're going to play it partially by ear. But what my thinking is that it's like sort of squad command style. Like you can give them, say, hey, you need to heal this guy, or hey, you do this, run over here, avoid that. But for the most part, they'll be somewhat autonomous and do things based on their personality.
So I can... Okay, yeah. So it's almost like I can set them to like a defensive mode where they are.
Well, see, that's an abstraction. We're trying to go as much realism as we can.
Ah, gotcha.
But we'll see how it turns out.
They will act accordingly unless I give them specific instructions to do something that is a little unorthodox. Maybe.
Sure. They'll do what they can based on their own personalities and current abilities. Look at that. 2 sessions and no combat.
Well, shit. It's hard when, a lot of town to explore.